Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into the world of versus AI.
Yeah, versus AI.
This one's been on your radar for a little while now.
Yeah, you've sent over a bunch of articles, notes,
Yeah.
even some YouTube
Yeah, it
videos.
seems like you really want to get a handle on this company.
Absolutely, I can see why.
So, what is it about AI versus AI? What makes them stand out from everyone else in the AI world?
Well, at their core, they're focused on what they call cognitive computing,
Cognitive computing.
which is different from just your typical AI.
Okay.
So think of it as building AI that doesn't just crunch data and predict things.
Right.
It actually tries to understand the world kind of the way humans do.
So it understands it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how does that play into this whole digital brain idea
Yeah.
with their genius technology?
Yeah.
I mean, is that even possible?
Yeah, well, digital brain, that does sound a bit like science fiction,
Sure.
but the way they're approaching it is actually based on real science. They're taking ideas from biology, physics, and neuroscience to create these things called intelligent software agents.
Intelligent software
Like,
agent.
these are kind of like little programs that can learn on their own, they can adapt.
Like separate programs.
Yeah, exactly, like independent little programs,
Okay.
and they can interact with the world.
So instead of one giant AI, they're building a network of these smaller, smarter agents.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's interesting.
And these agents can actually talk to each other and work together.
Oh, wow.
So you get this kind of decentralized intelligence.
So it's not
It's
all
not just one.
one central brain. It's like
It's distributed.
it's a hive mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned they're targeting a ton of different areas, everything from
Yeah.
supply chains to smart cities, even lunar exploration.
Right.
How does genius work in all these different fields?
That's a great question. And that's where the spatial web comes in.
Bigger web.
So imagine a digital world that's kind of aware of physical space, where information is actually linked to real locations and objects.
So it's like the internet knows where things are.
Exactly, like the internet gets a sense of place.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it's like a layer of digital information on top of the real world.
So it's like giving the internet eyes and ears.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So it can see the world.
Yeah, so AI can actually understand and interact with the real world.
Oh, okay. So for something like a supply chain,
Exactly.
you could have these genius agents tracking goods in real time,
Yeah,
even predicting like disruptions, right?
exactly. They could optimize routes.
And for smart cities, I imagine they could manage things like traffic flow,
Yeah,
energy use, maybe even help with public safety.
exactly. All sorts of possibilities.
Now, how does this active inference thing fit in? I keep seeing it mentioned a lot.
Right, yeah, active inference is a really interesting concept.
Okay.
It comes from neuroscience,
Oh, okay.
and it basically describes how our brains make predictions about the world.
Like how we expect things to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then we act in a way to reduce any uncertainty we have.
Oh, so we're constantly trying to figure things out.
Right, we're trying to learn and update our understanding.
Okay.
And versus AI is applying this idea to make their agents curious.
Curious.
Yeah, like they're constantly exploring.
So they're not just sitting there passively processing data,
No, they're actively trying to understand the world around them.
like little scientists.
Yeah, like little AI
And
scientists.
like that.
Testing their predictions and then learning from what happens.
That's fascinating. Like with their work with NASA.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
For lunar exploration.
They're creating these digital twins
Digital twins.
of the moon's environment and the rovers.
Okay.
And these digital twins are like virtual replicas
Okay.
that they can use to simulate missions and plan things out.
So they're like practicing on a virtual moon.
Yeah, exactly, before sending the real rovers out there.
That's incredible.
It is pretty cool stuff.
So while they're sending AI to the moon, they're also doing stuff here on Earth,
Right.
like that partnership with Analog for smart cities in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, that's a great example of their real world impact.
What are they doing in Abu Dhabi exactly?
So they're using Genius to try and make the city's taxi system more efficient.
Okay.
So less traffic, fewer emissions, and shorter wait times.
Oh, okay.
Imagine, AI agents constantly analyzing traffic.
Predicting demand.
Yeah, making sure taxis are where they need to be.
Oh, so it's like a super smart taxi dispatcher.
Exactly, like a citywide brain for transportation.
That's ambitious. Is it actually working, though?
Well, early data from the pilot project is pretty promising.
Okay.
They're already seeing improvements.
That's great.
And it's expected to bring in about $3 million in revenue for versus AI.
Okay, so the technology is there, the partnerships are happening, and they're starting to generate some real money.
Right.
But this level of tech can't be cheap to develop, right?
Yeah.
What about their overall financials?
Yeah, that's where things get a bit more interesting.
Okay.
So let's take a look at their recent funding, their current performance, and try to figure out how they're doing financially.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Well, to answer your question directly, they're not profitable just yet.
Not profitable.
Yeah, they actually reported a net loss.
A loss.
Uh-huh. About 18,732,903 for the first half of 2024.
Okay, so they're still in the red,
Yeah.
but like a lot of tech companies, especially in AI,
Especially AI, yeah.
early losses aren't always a bad thing.
Right. It's all about investing for the future.
It's about growth.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're putting a lot of resources into research.
A lot of research and development. Yeah, and they're growing their team really quickly, too.
So big bets on their vision.
Big bets, yeah.
Okay, but they can't just burn through cash forever.
Right.
How are they funding everything?
Well, they've been attracting investors.
Investors.
Yeah, a lot of their funding recently has come from something called life offerings.
Life offerings. What are those?
So they're like private placements that let them raise money faster.
So it's like a fast track for fundraising.
Yeah, they can kind of bypass some of the usual steps.
Okay.
And it's been working for them. They closed 3 of these offerings.
And how much did they raise?
A total of about, $4,187,099.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier an investment from Group 42, that AI company in the UAE.
Yeah, that was a big one.
$10 million, right?
Yeah, $10 million through a convertible debenture.
Convertible debenture.
Yeah, it's kind of like a loan,
Okay.
but it can be turned into versus AI stock later.
So it's a loan with an option to become an owner.
Exactly, if things go well.
Smart.
Yeah, good for both sides.
So versus AI gets the money now.
Right,
And
right.
Group 42 could have a piece of the pie later.
exactly.
Are there any downsides to these funding methods, though?
Well, there are always risks with any kind of financing.
Sure.
Like with the life offerings, one risk is dilution.
Dilution.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
versus AI issues more shares. The existing shareholders, their ownership gets a little smaller.
Makes sense. What about that Group 42 deal?
Well, with that one, the risk is if versus AI stock doesn't do well,
Oh.
Group 42 might not convert their loan into stock.
So versus AI would have to pay back the loan.
Exactly, which could be tough.
So their future is tied to how their stock performs.
In a way.
Adds
yeah.
another layer of complexity.
It does.
So how about their access to more capital in the future?
Right, that's a big question. Can they keep getting funding to grow?
Okay, so let's look at their cash situation. What's it like right now?
As of September 30th, they had about $2,236,498 in cash and restricted cash.
Okay, that's down from what they had at the end of last year, right?
Yeah, it was $11,350,419 then.
That's a big drop.
It is.
What'll happen?
Well, their operating expenses are pretty high.
Sure.
And in their industry, it takes time to turn tech into sales.
So they're spending money as they build the business,
Yeah, pretty typical for this stage.
but it makes getting more funding even more important.
Absolutely.
But hey, that analog partnership is bringing in some money, right?
Yeah, that's true.
$3 million from that Smart City project.
Right.
So proof that they can make money.
Yeah, but is it enough to make them sustainable?
That's the $1 million question, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Can they scale up,
Yeah.
get more partnerships, and make consistent revenue?
That's what they need to do.
Okay, so let's move on from the financials.
Okay.
Let's talk about the team behind Kakra versus AI. Who are the key players?
Well, they have a really strong team, starting with the CEO, Gabriel Rene.
Gabriel Rene.
Yeah, he's been a leader in cognitive computing for a long time.
So he's the visionary.
Yeah, he's got the big ideas.
Okay, but it takes more than just a vision to build this kind of technology. Who else is important?
Well, their chief scientist, Dr. Carl Friston, he's a big deal.
Dr. Carl Friston.
Yeah, he actually developed the theory of active inference.
The foundation of their whole genius technology.
Exactly.
Wow, they've got the brains behind the operation right there.
Yeah, they're serious about the science.
And what about the rest of the team?
They have a really solid executive team.
Oh,
People with experience in product development, engineering, marketing.
so they've got all the bases covered.
Yeah, and their board of directors is impressive too.
Sounds like they've got the right people in place.
They do.
Okay, so they've got the team, the tech, the partnerships.
Right.
The AI market is crowded. Who are they up against?
Oh, there are tons of players.
Yeah.
You've got the giants like Google, Microsoft,
Right.
and then all these new startups popping up.
So how does a smaller company like versus AI compete with those giants?
Their strategy is all about being different.
different.
Yeah, they're not trying to build a better chatbot than Google
Okay.
or a better image generator than OpenAI.
They're not trying to beat them at their own game.
Right, they're focusing on what they do best, cognitive computing and the spatial web.
So they're finding their own niche.
Yeah, they're betting that their approach will become more valuable as the need for intelligent systems grows.
So they see themselves as pioneers.
Yeah, pioneers, they want to define the rules.
Bold move.
It is,
But risky.
yeah, definitely risky.
What are some of the challenges they face in convincing people that their way is the right way?
One of the biggest challenges is skepticism.
Skepticism.
Yeah, people are used to thinking about AI in a certain way.
Big data, deep learning.
Exactly.
Okay.
And versus AI's approach is a little different.
More abstract.
Yeah, a bit more conceptual.
So they need to prove it works.
Yeah, show real results.
Not just theory,
Right.
like with that Abu Dhabi project.
Exactly. Real world examples.
We need more of those.
They do.
Okay. So it's about education and demonstration.
Yeah, explain it clearly and show it works.
But there's also the challenge of building an ecosystem around their tech, right?
Right, that's important.
You mentioned their beta program and developer toolkit
Yeah, they're trying to attract developers.
to get people building on their platform.
Exactly. The more developers they have, the more valuable the platform becomes.
It's that network effect.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Okay, so attract developers, prove it works. What else?
Well, they also need to keep innovating.
AI moves fast,
It does new stuff all the time.
so they got to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, anticipate what people will want.
Be agile, adaptable.
Exactly.
Now, what about this whole open source AI thing?
Right, that's a big trend.
How does that play in all of this?
So open source AI means the software and tools are free for anyone to use.
Free.
Yeah, anyone can modify them, distribute them.
Yeah.
It's all about collaboration.
Like the Wikipedia of AI.
Yeah, kinda.
Everyone's contributing.
Yeah, it's really changing things.
But how does that impact a company like AIDI versus AI trying to sell their technology?
It's tricky. It's a double-edged sword.
How so?
Well, they could benefit from using open source tools. It could
Mhm.
save them time and resources.
Okay, so they can use what's already out there.
Yeah, but the risk is that open source AI could hurt their competitive advantage. If their tech becomes free, it's harder to sell it.
So they need to find a balance.
Yeah, balance between being open and protecting their business.
It's a tough spot.
It is. A lot of AI companies are facing this.
Okay, so we've talked about the team, the tech, the competition, the open source challenge.
Mm-hmm.
They're facing a lot,
They are.
but they're making progress
They are.
and they're finding their place.
They are. Yeah.
But there's one more thing we haven't talked about.
What's that?
Regulations.
Oh, yeah. Big one.
AI is powerful.
Very powerful.
Raises a lot of ethical and legal questions.
Lot of questions.
Governments are still trying to figure it all out.
So figuring it out. Yeah.
So what are some of the regulatory challenges that versus AI is up against?
Well, one of the biggest is data privacy.
Data privacy, okay.
AI needs a lot of data to work,
It does.
and that includes personal information.
But people are getting more and more concerned about how their data is being used.
Yeah, and governments are making stricter rules.
So versus AI has to make sure they're following those rules,
Absolutely.
handling data responsibly,
Yeah, being transparent about how they use it.
and making sure it's not getting into the wrong hand.
Exactly. It's not easy,
No, it's not.
but it's essential.
Okay, so data privacy is a big one. What else?
Another challenge is algorithmic bias.
Algorithmic bias.
Yeah, so AI systems learn from data.
Okay.
And if that data has biases in it,
Okay.
the AI can actually learn those biases and perpetuate them.
So if an AI is trained on data that's biased against women or minorities,
Exactly.
it could make decisions that are discriminatory.
Right, that's the concern.
That's a big problem, especially as AI is used in more and more important areas.
Yeah, like hiring, lending, even criminal justice.
So versus AI needs to be very careful about this.
Very careful. They need to make sure their algorithms are fair.
Okay, data privacy, algorithmic bias, anything else?
Well, there's also the issue of liability.
Liability.
As AI gets more sophisticated, it's harder to say who's responsible when something goes wrong.
So if an AI makes a mistake that causes harm,
Yeah, who's to blame?
right, is it the company that made it, the person who used it,
Exactly. It's a complex legal question.
and the law is still catching up?
It is, yeah.
So versus AI needs to protect themselves,
Yeah, they need clear policies and procedures.
just in case something goes wrong.
Exactly. They need to be prepared.
Okay, data privacy, bias, liability, anything else?
Well, there's also the use of AI in safety critical applications.
like self-driving cars.
Yeah, or medical devices.
High stakes.
Very high stakes.
So regulators are extra careful.
Yeah, they want to make sure everything is safe.
So if Versus AI wants to play in those areas, they need to meet even higher standards.
They do, yeah.
Wow, so they're facing a lot of regulatory uncertainty.
They are.
How are they approaching all of this?
Well, they're taking a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
First of all, they're working with regulators.
Working with a regulator.
Yeah, they're talking to policymakers, trying to shape the rules.
So they're being proactive
Very proactive.
instead of just waiting to see what happens.
Exactly. They want to be part of the conversation.
Okay.
And that seems to be working. Regulators are listening.
It makes sense. It shows they're taking this seriously.
Yeah, they want to be seen as responsible.
Okay. What else are they doing?
They're also doing research.
Research?
Yeah, to build AI systems that are more transparent and accountable.
So they're building ethics into the AI itself.
In a way, yeah, they're going beyond just complying with rules.
Okay.
They're trying to do the right thing from the start.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a selling point, too.
Ethics are becoming more important.
Absolutely.
So they're working with regulators. They're building ethical AI. What else?
They're also being transparent.
Transparent.
Yeah, they're publishing their research.
Okay.
They're talking about how they govern their AI.
So they're being open about what they're doing.
Very open, which is refreshing in this industry.
Okay, so they're engaged, they're ethical, and they're transparent.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good strategy.
It does, but there are no guarantees.
Especially in such a fast-moving field.
Right, things change quickly.
So they're doing the right things.
Yeah,
But it's too early to say if it'll be enough.
exactly.
Okay, so we've covered the regulatory landscape,
You have.
the challenges and opportunities,
Yeah.
and Versus AI's approach.
Uh-huh.
It's a lot to think about,
It is.
but it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
We need to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, the big picture.
Where does Versus AI fit into the broader tech world?
Well, they're definitely part of some big trends.
We've talked about the metaverse,
Yeah.
Web3, the decentralized internet.
All pointing towards more connected, more immersive, more intelligent internet.
And Versus AI, with their cognitive computing and the spatial web, they're right in the middle of it.
They are, yeah.
So they're not just building a company, they're building a future.
That's a good way to put it.
And it's a future that could be amazing,
It could be.
or it could be disruptive.
Yeah, both are possible.
Speaking of disruption, what about the potential impact of their tech on society?
That's a big question.
AI is powerful.
Incredibly powerful.
It's bound to have consequences.
Yeah. Intended and unintended.
And Versus AI seems to be aware of that.
They do. They talk about ethical AI a lot.
Okay, so what are some of the concerns people have about AI in general?
Well, one of the biggest is job displacement.
Job displacement.
As AI gets better, it could automate jobs that humans do now.
Leading to job losses.
Yeah, it's a common fear with new technology.
But is it inevitable?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Technology has always created new jobs too.
Right.
The key is to adapt.
So invest in education and training
Exactly. Help people learn new skills.
and make sure the benefits of AI are shared.
Right, so everyone can participate.
Okay, so job displacement is a concern. What else?
Well, there's also the concern that AI could make inequality worse.
Inequality.
Yeah, if AI systems are biased,
Yeah.
they could make existing problems even worse.
So if an AI is used to make decisions about loans,
Or hiring,
criminal justice.
and it's biased against certain groups, that's
Exactly.
a huge problem.
It is. We need to make sure AI is used fairly.
So we need safeguards.
Absolutely, we need to be proactive.
Okay, jobs, inequality, any other concerns?
Well, there's also the issue of privacy.
Price?
AI systems need a lot of data,
Yeah.
and that data can be very personal.
So as we use more AI, we're giving it more access to our lives.
Exactly. Our habits, our preferences.
It's kind of scary.
It can be.
We need to be careful about who has access to our data.
Yeah. And how it's being used.
So these are big issues.
They are, but people are starting to pay attention.
That's good.
Yeah.
Ah.
There's a push for more regulations.
More ethical guidelines.
Exactly.
So it's not all bad news.
No, there's hope.
People are working to make sure AI is used responsibly.
Yeah. Researchers, policymakers, even companies like AI
It's
push for transparency,
accountability.
human oversight.
Exactly.
So there's a balance to be found.
There is between innovation and responsibility.
And it sounds like Versus AI is trying to find that balance.
They want to use their tech for good.
That's encouraging.
It is. It shows they're thinking about the bigger picture.
Okay, so we've talked about the regulatory landscape,
Yeah.
the societal concerns,
Uh-huh.
and Versus AI's commitment to ethical AI,
Right.
it's clear they're operating in a complex world,
Very complex.
but they're trying to navigate it responsibly.
They are.
Okay, let's zoom out even further.
Okay.
Where does versus AI fit into the even bigger technological landscape?
Well, their vision aligns with a lot of big trends we're seeing.
We've talked about the metaverse,
The metaverse. Yeah.
Web3, that decentralized internet idea.
Right. All those trends are about a more immersive, connected, intelligent internet.
And versus AI, with their cognitive computing and their spatial web, they fit right in.
They do, yeah.
They're not just building a company, they're building a future,
It's a future that could be very exciting.
or very disruptive.
Or both.
But it's a future that they're actively shaping.
That's right. They're not just along for the ride.
So while there are a lot of challenges,
Yeah,
there's also a lot of potential.
absolutely.
And versus AI is at the forefront of it all.
They are, yeah. It's an exciting company to watch.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground,
A lot of ground.
but this is just the beginning.
The beginning.
There's
Yeah,
so much more to learn.
absolutely.
But hopefully this deep dive has given you a good foundation
A good starting point.
to continue your own exploration of versus AI.
Exactly. Keep digging. Keep asking questions.
That's what deep dives are all about.
They are, yeah.
It's pretty amazing, to see how fast things are changing
Yeah.
in the tech world. And companies like versus AI are right there on the cutting edge.
Yeah, they are.
But with all this innovation,
Yeah.
we've got to think about the bigger picture,
The big picture, yeah.
the impact on society as a whole.
Absolutely, you're right.
Technology, especially AI, it's not neutral. It has ripple effects. It changes things.
Yeah, it changes everything.
It changes how we live, how our communities function,
How we interact with each other.
even how we think about the future.
Definitely. And that's why I think it's so important that versus AI, they're
Mhm.
talking about this ethical AI stuff.
They are, and they seem to be serious about it,
They do.
which is good because there are real risks here
Real risks, yeah.
that we need to talk about.
We do.
So what are some of the concerns people have about AI?
Well, one that comes up a lot is jobs.
Jobs.
Yeah, job displacement.
Okay, so as AI gets smarter,
It's harder. Yeah.
it could start doing jobs that humans are doing now,
Exactly.
and that could lead to people losing their jobs.
Right. It's a fear that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like every time there's a new technology,
People worry about their jobs.
yeah, the robots are coming for our jobs.
That's the idea.
But is it really that simple?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Historically, new technology has always created new jobs, too.
Okay, so it's not about mass unemployment.
No.
It's about a shift in the types of jobs.
Yeah, a shift.
So people need to be prepared for that.
Right. They need the skills for the new jobs.
So we need to invest in education
Yeah, education and retraining.
to help people adapt.
Exact, yeah.
And we need to make sure the benefits of AI are shared
That's important so everyone benefits.
so everyone can participate in this new economy.
That's exactly. It's about opportunity.
Okay, so jobs are one concern. What else?
Well, there's also the issue of inequality.
Inequality. Okay.
Yeah, if AI systems are biased,
Okay.
they can actually make existing inequalities worse.
So if an AI is used to make decisions about loans
Loans, yeah.
or who gets hired for a job,
Or even criminal justice decisions.
and it's trained on data that reflects existing biases
Right. It could perpetuate those biases.
and discriminate against certain groups.
Exactly. That's the worry.
So we need to make sure AI is used fairly.
We do. It's crucial.
Okay, jobs, inequality, what else?
There's also the concern about privacy.
Privacy? Yeah, AI needs a lot of data to work.
A lot of data.
And that data can be very personal.
Very personal. Yeah.
So the more we use AI,
The more access it has to our lives,
right, our habits, our preferences,
our online activity, our location data.
it's a little unsettling.
It can be.
So we need to be careful about who has access to that data
We did.
and how it's being used.
Absolutely. We need transparency and control.
Okay, so these are some serious concerns.
We,
But the good news is people are starting to take notice.
yeah, people are talking about these issues.
And there's a push for stronger regulations.
Definitely. And more ethical guidelines.
So there's hope.
There is. We're not just ignoring these problems.
And there are people working to make sure AI is used responsibly.
Yes. Researchers, policymakers.
Even companies like Masson versus AI.
Yeah. They're part of the solution.
They're pushing for transparency,
Accountability.
human oversight.
Right. They want to make sure AI is a force for good.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, it's not.
There's a balance to be found
There is.
between innovation and responsibility.
And it seems like versus AI is trying to find that balance,
It does, yeah.
which is encouraging
They do.
because ultimately technology is a tool.
That's right.
And like any tool, It could be used for good or bad.
It's up to us to decide.
It's up to us to shape how AI is used.
And what kind of future we create with it.
That's a powerful thought. We
Itty.
have the power to shape our own destiny with this technology.
We do. We're not just passive observers.
So that brings us to the end of our deep dive into versus AI.
And,
We've covered a lot of ground.
a lot.
Their technology, their vision, their team, their financials, the competition, the regulations, the societal impact.
It's been a thorough deep dive.
And I hope it's given you a better understanding of this company.
I hope so too.
And maybe even sparked some new thoughts and questions.
Yeah, always good to keep thinking.
So as you continue to research versus AI,
Yeah.
ask yourself, do you believe in their vision?
Do you see the potential of their technology?
Yeah,
And do you trust them to navigate this complex world responsibly?
those are the key questions.
The answers will help you decide if their DISM versus AI is a company you want to support.
It's your decision ultimately.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep diving deep.